What's
Did you
another
hear
sound a
that?
bird makes? What's another sound a bird makes? Give me another one. Oh, that's a good one. That sounded actually like a bird. What about kee 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 kee? Two
It
birds,
is two birds.
one cock.
Jesus Christ, bro. I'm definitely getting, dude, if anyone discovered this in my professional career, I'm getting so canceled.
What? 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 Because we were making bird sounds into the mic.
Cock with a K.
Yeah, like it's
There's
a
the
last name.
rare Indonesian caucus bird, right?
Oh yeah, CAUC. CAC. That's pretty
It's so
funny.
funny because I have my I like they've actually been using my YouTube page. Like I've kind of been like the forefront of like creating media for my program, and they've been using my YouTube page as like the medium that people use to like access the media. And I've had to like go and like change like a bunch of things, like make sure everything was good there. But it's really funny because one of my subscriptions is two birds, and I'm like, I wonder if anyone just like looked at my subscriptions, clicked on that, and then been like, because eventually someone would definitely look at that and be like, what is two birds? Like, and they will be in for the
No,
greatest podcast they've ever heard.
I think the idea of professionalism is so annoying because I'm like even in your example, right? Like there's a reason that you're selected or that people want you to head the media thing. And often that's because you have made stuff in the past. And so it's like if you want the benefits that come from being like outspoken or and then at the same time also be like, oh, but you must have acted this certain way, then you wouldn't have both skills.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a really fucking great point. Like, especially when it comes to like directors or musicians, like where like their art is so like edgy and it's so like on the cusp and they're like rebellious and then they like are also rebellious in a lot of other ways. And people are like, wait, what?
It's
Quentin
like
Tarantino's racist? What the fuck?
you get maybe that's a harder one, but like I don't know. It's just it seems very selective of what you can and can't be,
Yeah, yeah,
which
no,
I'm
that,
not
I
a
think it's a
fan
great
of.
point. And you and I have talked a lot about this in the past, which is like the real way to be able to sort of do whatever you want is to like establish like value
Yeah,
and like
one
just become
hundred
like
percent.
disgusting at what it is that you do. And then you can just literally do whatever the fuck you want. Honestly, and that's like my literal goal is to just like get so nice at what I'm doing that people could be like, oh, like you said the word cock in your fucking podcast in his first podcast in 2012. And I'm gonna be like, yes, yes, I did. And I'd say it again, you little cock.
No, but
And
as you
you
should.
just,
I
you
mean,
know,
imagine a world where that's the thing. I always think about this one moment where I was with a friend and I was recording like a we went on a vacation, and this was when I just got my camcorder, and so I was like taking a vlog, and he had said something along the lines of like, dude, don't put this on, I'm gonna get like, what if I like get canceled or lose my job. And the thing I was thinking about, I was like, dude, if you're so worried about doing something because you think that it's wrong, like if you have that part in your mind, why would you do it in the first place? Like, to be able to do something and be like, I want to do this, while simultaneously be like, oh, but if someone else saw this, they would think it's wrong, has to create a divide in your body. Like that means there's a part of you that's saying this is probably a wrong action, you shouldn't do it. But then you're also simultaneously doing it. Like if you really think it's wrong. So for example, like if I really believe that um, you know, saying racist slurs were wrong, for example, then I wouldn't like do it on my side and then just be like, hey guys, but no one record me because that's wrong. You just wouldn't do it at all, period. Like, I think either you should be proud of what you do in your spheres of life and you should be confident and be able to, stick up for why you do what you do, or you just shouldn't do it. I feel like this idea of doing stuff, but just making sure it's like hidden, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And it's something I definitely would not want to do.
that's interesting. I have two thoughts about that, which is one, I think what's so hard is that what is wrong and right continues to change. And often people are socially
Hmm.
persecuted for things that weren't wrong at one point in time and then
Yes.
become wrong. So in the moment, like, someone didn't feel wrong about saying whatever 5 years ago, but now people are gonna be like, he said that on his tweet in 2012, like get him. And it's like, oh shit. Like, recently, Bree's like stepdad's grandpa, who's like this like really famous uh like mountain climber. He like they actually named the mountain climbing award that people get from him. Like that's how famous he is. Um they like changed the award because he like said something um like slightly something against like Jewish people in like 19 like 01 or something like that. And someone like discovered it like in his book and they're like, oh look, he said this word, like get him, like we can't have him as the
Oh,
word
that's
person anymore. So like,
crazy. No way.
or even like
So interesting.
there's like this a lot of people in psychology that like people are like finding their stuff from like a certain point in time, like oh look, they were like a lot of psychologists who believe that like being having like different genders was like a part of gender hysteria or dysphoria, or like being gay was like a disorder, like which was what was commonly thought of like in the early 1900s. uh
Even
anyway,
those people get canceled, like scientifically?
yeah, no, those people like they backtracked and they're like, oh fuck, look, they thought that this
Whoa.
disorder was this, we can't revere this person anymore. So there's
No
just this one end
way.
of like that's just hard, and then maybe that's an argument towards like, well, whatever, like you never know, so just do it. But then the other end of it is like, I just feel like institutions and people can have really different means of what they believe is right and wrong. And because there's this whole presentation of like professionalism that is just this really interesting world that you have to exist in, like there's no part of my mind that believes the word cock is wrong, right? Like I find it actually really funny. But there's a very, very strong chance, let's say I became like a successful professor at KU and someone heard this, I would actually get in trouble. And like they'd be like, oh, you need to take that down, which is crazy.
And
And I feel like that's
unfortunate.
just like when you become a part of things, like it's you no longer get to like just think about yourself, like you have to think about how you're affecting the institution, even the people with it, which is very, very, very strange thing. And like I do feel like the only way we'll be able to move past that is if people are just willing to take that risk and just be like, well, it is what it is, that's who I am.
Because some people get that leeway, but
For sure.
you have to be so good at what you do to get that leeway. And usually it seems like
Exactly.
they're people on the right, which is unfortunate. It's like, whether you're Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, whatever, Joe
Bro, Trump,
Rogan.
if Trump could be
Yeah,
president,
Trump. Yeah,
you can
Trump.
do
Yeah,
anything.
Trump. Yeah,
Like if
Trump.
Trump could
Yeah.
be president, this will fucking start an
Yeah.
insurrection. This fucking publicly been, called out for sexually assaulting. Like, who knows what this man has and hasn't done? Motherfucker
No,
might be the president again, bro.
he's done it all.
I'm just gonna loot that. If somebody gets me in trouble for being like, "Oh, you said," I'm like, "Bro, you see who the potential president is? What the fuck?"
Mom came in. Sorry. What were you saying?
Oh, you're good. Oh, your mom's
No,
back?
yeah. Yeah, my mom just got back
Oh, that's
yesterday.
fucking crazy. Oh, no way. I
Hmm.
thought it was your mom earlier, but I was like, maybe I'm tripping.
Hmm. She
Okay,
got back
so as we're
yesterday.
here, tell me about the retreat.
Let me think. I want to.
As I eat this burrito.
Nice. I've been eating really good oatmeal right now. Oatmeal and grapes. I think grapes and oatmeal is an unbroken combination. I gave it to some friend and he was like, "This is the greatest thing ever." I don't know if you've had it before, but it's a good combo.
Grapes and oatmeal?
Yeah, it's actually so good. Just try it.
Really?
Yeah, just
You have
try
the
it. And
craziest
then
food combination, bro. I'll never forget that time. Yeah, hey, come over, bro. I'm gonna make you some food after a hike. I was so hungry. I was all right. My body was like protein. Let's go. My man brought me bread, cucumber, I think cream cheese, and like a tomato or something like that.
no, 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 no,
And he
no,
was like,
no, no.
"Yo, these."
No, there was mushrooms in it. There was eggs in it, and
There were
then
eggs in it, really?
yeah, there were eggs in it.
Okay, okay,
There were
okay.
eggs,
I
mushroom. and like some other, but it was just you had thought it was really funny because I think there was like mushrooms or something in it, and you're like, why?
No, it was cucumber, bro. I remember the cucumber.
Yeah,
The
cucumber
cucumber
too.
I
Yeah,
remember
cucumber too.
vividly.
Yeah, cucumber.
The
Yeah,
cucumber I remember
cucumber,
vividly.
mushroom, egg, ketchup, and bread.
That sounds kind of good now that I think about
I don't know, it's that bad.
it.
Um, yeah, man, the retreat. So yeah, I mean, so I threw a silent retreat. Um, storytelling, eh? Not my cup of tea. It's okay.
Really?
I can try. I can try. I'm just not sure if I like do it in like a very artistic way of where it's interesting. But okay, so pretty much,
The sun had just broken through the trees.
yeah, that's good. Okay, should I start with the inception
For
or
sure.
no? Okay. So one thing that's been really nice, especially about my 3 months traveling through Europe, is I met a lot of people that I feel like do very extravagant and out of the box things, and it seems very accepted in a lot of the countries in Europe. And so I have a friend who lives in the Netherlands, and he hosts a whole bunch of retreats, and he goes to these really cool things. He went to this one where it's in the woods and you stay there for a day and you're silent for the day. And at night, you get in a circle around a campfire and you share your life story. And you share it like as a timeline from the beginning to the end. And then there's like a shaman who kind of then takes your story and then presents it as a third person story. So then he's like, there was a boy who, and I didn't really fully understand how exactly he did it, but he was like, that was one of the most therapeutic things I've ever heard. Like being able to look at my life from a third person perspective to be like, oh man, I am going on a story. Like to kind of novelize your own your life to be like, okay, I can also, if I was in a story, what part of the journey would I be on at this current moment? So he thought that was really powerful. But what I wanted to say is that's such an odd experience to have. I mean, he's 45 years old. All his other friends are killing it in the professional world, but they still take the time and space to do spiritual things. Spirituality in the US is 100% intertwined with drugs. And I was telling a lot of people, I think this is the most whack thing in the world. There is no spirituality in the US without taking shrooms, without taking mushrooms, acid, whatever. It doesn't exist. Otherwise, you're yoga to have a great body. You meditate so you can work more focused. The spirituality does not exist for the most part, I feel like, in the professional space. They're like very separate. They don't intertwine often in academia and whatever. It's and so I was like, why is that? Why can we not work to fix that? Why can we not work to kind of show that, you're allowed to introspect about your life. You're allowed to think about why and where and be a professional and kill it as a doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever. There is no, they can completely overlap. And so I was like, all right, let me bring this back to the US. And so I experienced that silent retreat again, the Vipassana meditation. I went to a few retreats where, we did a lot of activities, and I was like, all right, let me pick and choose some of my favorite parts of these and build one here. And so the original plan was to do it in the woods. We went camping. We scoped out the spot in Mount Madonna. It was beautiful. It was just the perfect spot. And then we planned it. I sent the flyers out. 12 people were interested. And I was a little nervous because I was like, I had to start packing everything, getting everything, and I was doing that the whole week. Then the weather report started coming in. I had checked it for months in advance to just keep checking the monthly forecast. But every day it got worse. First day was like light rain. Second day was like light rain all day. Third day it told me, okay, there's going to be light rain most of the day and then middle to heavy rain in the middle of the day. And then and then there was like, oh, possible thunderstorms. And then at the end of the day, it was like, all right, definite thunderstorms, one day heavy rain. I was like, all right, there's no way we can do this. So I had to move the retreat to April. And I was like, all right, we're not doing anything this weekend. I have a friend flying in from LA, and he was like, come on, like, can we try something? Just try to put something together and we'll see what we can do. So I hit everyone up. I'm like, look, I'm going to try one last thing. I'm going to get an Airbnb on a lake 3 hours north from where we live. And whoever's interested in still doing something this weekend because you already, cleared up your weekend, we'll do a 1 day retreat, Saturday to Sunday. And 6 people were interested. And so we had this beautiful place in Clearwater Lake. And the house was right on the lake. We had a beautiful view of the entire lake, and it was actually snowing. And so we got there And so then the retreat began. And so in the retreat, there was six of us. We started the day with, we got there, we started with icebreakers. We all just kind of shared, who we were, what's going on in our life. Like now everyone knows each other. Then we started the silence. The first hour and a half, we worked on a puzzle. And so the goal was, can we get everybody to finish this 500-piece puzzle in under an hour without speaking? You're allowed to communicate non-verbally. How fast can we finish this? And man, the puzzle turned out so beautifully, and we had finished in probably under an hour and 15. Almost everyone had not worked on a puzzle since they were little kids. And a lot of the insights from that experience. I mean, I'll get to the insights, I guess, later. And then so after the puzzle, then we moved on and we did what did we do right after the puzzle session? We did a yoga session. So one of our friends led us on like a 35, 40-minute yoga session. It was really nice to move our body. Then after that, we went outside because it was like snowing, and we just like sat and silently watched the lake for like 10, 15 minutes, collected our thoughts, rested. Then we came back inside and we painted. We did collaborative painting. So you have a huge canvas, you start on it for 10 minutes, and every 3 minutes after that, you pass it to the person on your right. And so it's a painting and we did that for 2 rounds. So eventually everyone's creativity and ideas are all on this canvas that you started. And we had 6 beautiful paintings. It was sick when there's a picture where all of them are together. And it's kind of crazy actually to think about how different, like, I don't know how unique the human mind can think if once it's given a seed to grow on. It's kind of crazy. And then after the painting session, we took a 5-minute break and then we did journaling. And so the first 20 minutes of journaling, we did a vision board. So we drew things that we wanted to do for our future. What are the things that we're looking forward to? And then the last 20 minutes, we did a timeline of our lives. We started from the day we were born until today, and we marked, influential moments, people, those type of things on that timeline, just to think about, the future, the past. And then the way we ended it is we did a meditation session for 15 minutes. And then there was this practice of candle lighting where we had a bunch of candles, we lit them up. We were thinking about things that we were ready to let go of and things we were ready to like accept into our lives. And we blew out the candle and we broke the silence. We recapped and we all made dinner. We made such good tacos. Then we played Catan. Then we played Codenames. Then we played one other game. And then we chatted, fell asleep, and then woke up, made breakfast, and then headed back home.
That sounds fucking beautiful. What the fuck?
Yeah, actually, it was so beautiful, man. It was a
Oh my
really
God.
powerful day for me. It was very powerful, actually.
Sounds
I think it was
amazing.
just,
That just sounds so amazing. Wow.
I think it was something
The
very
timeline?
different for everyone. I think it was really
The
out of
timeline
many
is
people's
sick.
comfort zone, and
Mm,
there's just a lot of insights. Okay, so I'll just share one with you, and I want to hear your thoughts. Like,
mm,
so one of them was many people, not even just one, most people shared a similar. So there's only 2 of us who've done stuff like this or kind of like little spiritually wonky. The other 4 don't do anything like this ever. And so one, it was really cool for them to come out and try, right? I mean, I think that in itself takes a lot of courage. And one thing that was like commonly shared is one person was like, reflection, I never really thought reflection was for me. I was just like, this is not something I'm interested in doing in my life. Like, I don't really want to sit and really think about my life because it makes me feel depressed. And multiple
mm.
people had said something like that. Someone else has said, hey, like, thinking, I don't really have a clear plan for the future. So thinking about it kind of makes me sad sometimes. And it was only in that moment did I realize, like, damn, like actually sitting and thinking is terrifying for some people because they're
Mm,
just so used to running. And so it's not always that doing something like this is going to, and I think that's what you were saying earlier when we were talking about school. It's that Bell Hooks was also talking about this as well, where she was like, if people leave my class laughing and smiling and holding hands, she's like, I know I failed that day. When people are silent and somber and like really let what happened in that classroom sit with them, then she's like, we've presented something that's challenging to the ego, to your own current perception. And so
Mm.
over the long period of time, those difficult moments actually build a much stronger and viable view of the world, whatever. And so I feel like perhaps that's the same thing about this, where it's like if you're able to reflect and you're all super jolly and stuff, perhaps that wasn't like real reflection. Like reflections often should be challenging. I don't know if they, but that was something I was just, learning. I was like, damn, I'd never thought about reflecting as something that can be depressing, but I can understand how it can be. That was interesting for me.
Mm. Interesting. I mean, I feel like for us, it's so hard to, it's so, one of the hardest things I feel like you can do is like think how another person thinks, because the only world you have access to truly is your own inner world. You don't have access to any other world. Like that is literally the only world you have access to. And
Mm,
everything, even external, is mediated through that. Like you are not perceiving reality as it is. Like you're perceiving reality as your inner world allows it to be seen. And
mm,
so we're beings who are trying to understand each other with two worlds that share similarities but are also so different. And not only do we not really understand the similarities, we also don't really understand the differences. And so a lot of what communication is this ability to try and elucidate what the differences and similarities are between our inner worlds.
mm,
And and for our inner worlds, thinking is our sidekick, right? Like it's always there. Thinking about everything we do, thinking about our life, analyzing things. It's just what we do. It's just what's normal within the world, and analyzing it at a level of depth that most people would call terrifying. And you and I believe that the price that we pay for that, which is maybe being more, at least I can speak in my own regard, maybe not so much you, but being more depressed, being more of a, maybe not being able to take things lightly sometimes, being very serious about, the way I try to live my life, and, being like, oh, I can't drink. Like, why? Like, bro, have a beer. It's not that big of a deal. Like, no, if I do that, it's going to blah, 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 blah. And it's like, because we've
mm-hmm,
already thought through like each behavior
mm-hmm,
we're doing, right? Everything's kind of planned out. And because of that, I feel like often we don't really have too many thoughts that can scare us because we've kind of already gone through them. And we've considered them, we've weighed them. It's like, what if I end up being a bum for the rest of my life? Like, what if I'm not happy with something? And we view the places, the thoughts that make us feel sad or that bring us down as uh compasses. We're like, oh, sweet, okay. Like I actually like when I think about like how I live my life on a day-to-day basis, like it actually makes me feel really, really sad. Like shit, all right, I gotta change that. But it's so crazy to think that other people genuinely on a day-to-day basis move through life reacting to what they see and not really taking time to separate and be mindful and really delve into what it is that's happening to them. And they can go days, weeks, whatever, without doing that until some moment comes where they have to actually stop and sit with themselves and really reflect on who they've been being. And the there's like a lag, like consequence that comes from that. It's like not trying to run after you run, trying to run after you haven't run for hella long. Like you're going to get gassed and be tired, and it's going to be painful very, very quickly. Um,
mm-hmm,
and it's the same thing. Like all that, like I think what people don't understand about the mind is that like you cannot hide from it. Like everything
mm,
that you are suppressing follows you. It follows you the next day. It follows you the next month. It follows you the next year. And you're feeling the effects of it, whether you know it or not. And what I mean when you say whether you know it or not is maybe your neck is really, really, really tense. Maybe you have a lot of pain in your glutes. Maybe your chest is really, really, really tight on a day to day basis. Maybe you develop some autoimmune disorder that you don't really understand why you have it. Maybe your skin is breaking out constantly. So much of this can be a psychosomatic symptom of not having actually sat and processed what it is that you're doing on a day to day
mm,
basis. You don't get to run away from your mind. You do not get to do it. And so
mm,
sitting down after you've been running away from it for hella long, yeah, that's not the same as when you and I sit down. It's not the same at all. That's a fucking crazy ass experience because who knows? Maybe you have months, maybe you have years of really not thinking about how you've been living your life. You've just been getting validated by society. Oh yeah, bro, you're doing a great job. Yep, you just made, you got that raise in that position. Awesome. Like, yep, you've been working 10 hours a day at this, dude. You're doing so good. Like, oh man, you got married to that person. That's awesome. And then you sit down and you're like, fuck, I don't actually know if I want to marry that person. Fuck, like, damn, I really got like, this raise. That just means I need to be stuck in this job that I hate for another fucking, how many years. And then you have to really sit with the fact that you don't like that. That is why I think people fear spirituality, is because it's truth, and there's nothing more destabilizing than truth. And often we feel this truth trickling throughout our day. We get little glimpses of it. We get little tastes of it, and we tell ourselves that that's not truth. We tell ourselves that that is some other thing. It's just a feeling. It's just a thought. But what is truth is this society, this day to day life that I'm interacting with. When it's actually the reverse. What
Mm,
is truth is that inner voice that's calling to you every day that you're ignoring.
mm, damn. Yeah, I mean, I think,
So yeah,
dude, I
I
mean,
can't imagine that's hard.
even the silent retreat that you did, I think just doing that one time just changes the composition of your brain forever. I mean, I feel like,
Forever.
and I feel like it's definitely something I need to, as time progresses, what I did when I was 25, for example, is not going to last forever. But, all the thoughts I was afraid of, am I a bad person? I've made all these mistakes in my life. Like, I mean, there were so many that I was battling. And I was like, okay, what happens if I think about my ex the whole time? So I did. I sat there and probably thought about my ex for at least 5, 6 hours, right? Like it just happens. And that's like okay. Like, and then I sat through it. I was like, all right, well now I'm thinking about her. Now let me think about, what happened? What was it
Yeah.
like? Why didn't it work out? And you just go through it. But there was an example of one person who kind of lost their mind, like who started tripping out,
Mm.
and like it does happen. And so I think there's like two parts to it. I think the other one is like, I don't know what the other part is. The other part is having the belief that you can get through it. There's like something else there that's not just like having done it before. It's like that's what they say. So, for example, in the Vipassana, there's a very strict code of conduct. They're like, look, you have to come in with a relatively decent physical health. You have to come in with already a relative good mental health. Like, you have to come in with certain things because you can't just like come in with a bunch of issues and be like, all right, well, now I'm here. Let me just fix this. Like, it's like a challenging kind of thing to do. And so I feel like a lot of like Hindu practices, like they kind of presuppose that for you to do it well, you also have to like lead your life in a certain way. You can't just like lead your
Mm.
life in any willy-nilly way and then just also embark on these like challenging
Mm.
spiritual journeys. Like you already have to be at a certain state that's like, you're eating clean, you're pretty healthy, whatever, before you just dive in deep.
Damn.
And
Yeah, I think.
I think,
Oh, sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, I think that's such an important one, which is why like one interesting thing that happened during the retreat is like everyone started smoking weed at the end.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
yeah, I mean, I didn't.
Oh,
One
your
of the other
retreat. Sorry, I thought the Vipassana.
no, that would have been crazy
I was
at
like,
this
what?
one, right? Which like, which also I have like mixed takes on. So immediately after, I was a little upset. I was just like, look, like at the end of the day, like this is not a turn up. Like that is not the point of this, nor like was it meant to be something where I just felt like the whole point was kind of taken away. But on the other hand,
Mm.
another part after I had a lot of conversations with people was that they were all able to really connect with each other, the people who did smoke, over the act of smoking weed. And
For
they were able
sure.
to connect with each other. And so if it's possible that like the act of smoking weed and that whole process really helped them connect with each other, and then because of that made the experience something that sat with them longer, then perhaps it's totally fine. I think where I had a problem was like there's a point in which doing any of these drugs goes from I want to do it to whatever one time versus I need more. Right? You everyone knows that point where it switches from, oh, this is nice. I want to feel like this. I want to connect with these people to I don't want it to stop. I want more. Let's be more lit. And I
Mm.
think like if you can stop it before it gets to the point where everyone's like, I want to be more lit and people are just, doing a little, then it's like fine. It's just when yeah, I don't know. There's a difference between like I want to have one glass of wine with everyone that I'm with versus I want to get fucked up.
Mm.
So that
Yeah,
was like
yeah. No,
an
I think that's a good point.
because they all were
Like,
able to connect more, and I think there was a lot of good that came out of it too.
even after.
Yes, but I'm not sure like how much of the benefits that comes from uh like fully devoting yourself to the process without any drugs. I know without a doubt that I don't know, that helps for the reflections a lot more, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, I think what you're pointing to is so interesting because it's just like there's like different types of spiritual people, right? And I feel like a lot of the spiritual people you meet, like their spirituality is like what you said, like drugs is the medium, like of experiencing, these higher selves or realms or whatever you want to call them. And I have met a lot of people like that. Like they do hella psychedelics and they're like, oh, like I'm woke because I do psychedelics. But you ask them if they meditate and they're like, no. And I'm,
Mm,
I'm sure there's a bunch of people that do the same. But people are like, no, I don't need to meditate. Like, bro, I just take the psychedelic. And it's really interesting because they've actually done research on what the most blissful states of consciousness are. Um, and they call them monastic states because they're states of unison with everything around you. And when they rated each one, they took a bunch of participants and had them rate different based off of things they've done. I can't remember the exact psychedelics that were in there. I even want to say ayahuasca was in there, which is a pretty crazy one. The highest rated one was a deep meditation state, um, rated as the most blissful experience collectively amongst the people over acid, over shrooms, over all these other uh, drugs. And I think that when people hear that, they're like, there's no fucking way, bro. Like, there's no way. And it's like, people don't understand how powerful your mind is, like, how much access to God, divinity, uh, spirituality, this access to things that are really beyond us. You have everything you need within this crazy ass universe that's just sitting there for you, waiting to call it. And these drugs can be useful mediums for entering that universe. But I think what people don't understand is like you meditating is like you getting in the car, you're in the driver's seat, you put in the gas, you know how to work the brakes, you know how to work the fucking,
mm,
the fucking starter. You built this fucking car and you're like, all right, we're going to go 8
mm.
miles in and then we're going to come back. Like, boom, I'm going 8 miles and
Well
come back. We're
said.
going to
It's
go
not like
10 miles in and I'm
dependent
coming
on
back.
something else. Very well said. It's not dependent on anything else.
Exactly. And there's a price to pay, which is like I forgot who said this, but it was like be weary of wisdom that you didn't earn. And
Sheesh, that's a bar.
like that's the most dangerous kind of wisdom. Like really. And it's like that's what a psychedelic does. And I've been
Oh
trying to put words to
shit.
this for the longest time, which is
Oh
like why I don't
shit.
like hey, unearned wisdom is dangerous, bro. And it's like if you
Yeah,
haven't done
yeah.
the fucking work, right? Like you haven't become the person in the ways of thing, right? You haven't looked at you haven't really that relate, comfortable with going to your universe. And you fucking get in this jet, fucking, Mach 9 jet that's fucking created, on some ayahuasca. And it's like, all right, motherfucker, we're about to go 1,000 miles, like deep into yourself. Like, good luck, like strap in. Maybe you'll
Mm.
come back fine. And maybe you'll come back and be like, dude, I saw the craziest shit I've ever seen. Like, and maybe you'll be okay, but maybe not. Maybe you will, and often not, right? Like, you'll see some shit that you weren't even meant to see. And that also happens with meditation, right? Like, that's how dangerous it is for you to really go within yourself without really being prepared. Like, after this meditation retreat, I was fucked up. I had never experienced that mode of reality. And I thought I was ready and I wasn't.
Mm.
So all that being said, it's just that when you use weed or use, I'm not gonna say alcohol can be a spiritual drug. I think weed can for sure. These other psychedelics. At the end of the day, that valor of what it is that you got when you came in and got out. I'm not going to say it's not you, but it's not entirely you, and you know that. And because of that, it tends to water down the truth that you come away with because there's
Mm.
always this question of, but how much of that was the drug?
Mm. Fuck. Keep spitting, bro.
And that's it. It's just like when you meditate, you unlock some things. And I have a lot. I've unlocked trauma, bro. I have been meditating and I've
Yeah.
had cries of my mom echoing into my fucking brain that bring me back to a moment where I was watching her get abused, and that memory was completely fucking repressed. And I think, some people might say, oh, like, well, maybe there's a level of courage that's required in acid. Oh, there's a level of courage required in meditation as well, too. If you really want to do it right, you don't open your fucking eyes. You don't change that thought. You sit there with the pain and the uncomfortability of it. You walk through
Mm,
what your mind is trying to show you, and you allow it to be seen. And I walk through that painful ass memory, and it unlocks something in me that wasn't there before. I've healed sicknesses. I've seen so many images and things that I've not seen before. It's crazy. I've been doing this for about 9 years now, and what I can say is that any wisdom that you walk away with from meditation, why it's fucking crazy is because it's so true that it's terrifying. It is absolutely
mm.
fucking terrifying. When I walked away from that meditation retreat, there was no like, oh fuck, man, like damn, that acid was crazy though. Haha, like that was wild. Like, oh, it was just like, no, I was like, holy fucking shit. That was reality in a way I've never experienced it. Oh my God.
Mm.
It
Damn.
should be crazy, bro. But that retreat is fire, bro. That's such like let's we're gonna make a moment in this podcast, and it's gonna be called uh the flower shop. All right. I'm creating it today. The
That's a
flower
fire
shop.
one.
We're gonna
Posting
walk into
the
the flower
flowers.
shop and we're gonna give you your fucking flowers right now, bro. Because
Thanks.
that's dope, bro. You literally fucking like, oh my God, bro. What I've been thinking about this lately so much, and I've been like kind of getting a hard on for creation. Bro, creation is literally you taking something that doesn't exist in reality and bringing it
Yes.
to fruition. What crazier way to say I am alive, I am here, than to make something that did not exist and now exists because you fucking did it from only your brain. Fucking ex nihilo, bro. That's insane. So you took something that didn't exist in the way in which you created it, right? And you took this meditation retreat idea with this idea of like, because that's kind of one of the shitty parts about the meditation retreats. It's like you don't really get to do these activities. You kind of literally got to sit there, and it's honestly boring. Like in like a silence retreat and something spiritual doesn't have to be boring. And like you took these really good ideas
Yes.
from the timeline, which is so sick, from the painting together, which is honestly fucking awesome. Like you really help build community because that's the problem I have with the meditation retreats. I felt really lonely doing it despite being surrounded by people. And I think if you can connect through that pain of silence and whatever, and also just be really bonded to people, that's beautiful. So you took that, you created this whole thing. You had the obstacles, right? You had the resistance that's always going to come when we try to do something great, which is it was raining, you didn't know what to do. You fucking switched up the plans. You were like, all right, we're not going to stop. We're going to get an Airbnb. We're going to do this differently. And you still got people to come and you fucking did it, bro. You did it from start to fucking finish. And you probably contributed to a lot of people maybe sitting with themselves, realizing something about their lives in a way they never have. And I'm sure there's a possibility that somebody's going to walk away from that and maybe be closer to truth in a way they weren't before and probably have something that lasts throughout their life. Maybe they don't continue working at their job. Maybe they're honest with themselves about something they weren't before. And that's all because you created that space. So flowers.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I It felt really good. Like I felt like I left that feeling like I'm capable. Like if I can start this, why can't now I can do it with 6 people. I can do this maybe with 10
Yeah.
people. It's just in the mural. Okay, well I picked up the mural and then I killed it to excellence. And the school loves it, the kids love it, the administration loves it. Like we had such a good
Oh,
time doing it. I was like, why can't I pick up now a bigger project? Like it's what I'm realizing now is these 6 people also handed me their trust. Like they gave me $65 and they said, here, we trust you to plan out the rest of it and ensure that we're going to be safe throughout this. Like that is the thing I learned most about when I was in India. I was like, all the amazing people I met who run these organizations, their biggest skill is that people trust them, whether it's the
mm,
community they work with, whether it's the kids, whether it's donors. People are like, we trust you to not fuck around with this, whether it's our time or our money or our efforts. And like that is the hardest thing because you cannot build trust in one day. No amount of money, no amount of anything will build trust. That is something that can only be built over time. And that means you have to start putting droplets into each relationship over a long period of time so that over your lifetime you build up credibility. So if someone's like Goutham is doing this education thing, we trust him to like always execute to the best of his efforts, whether it turns out the way we want or not. We expect him to like put his best effort forward and then to create something that's awesome. Like that's just something that you have to have done thousands and thousands of projects over time to be like, here is my resume of all these things that I have like manifested and then created and then accomplished. And so it's like that's something I'm really learning now of like you have to take on projects and then slowly over time they become large. Nobody's gonna hand you a large project on day one. And like that's just life.
Mm.
So it's
And the
been
identity change that happens not only with yourself, but the people around you too. Like you become Gautam, like the homie, to like Gautam, who like has the ability to like
yes.
lead
Yes.
experiences and craft experiences and has the responsibility. And not only do you get to recognize yourself as somebody who can do that, which is crazy, right? Like to be like, wow, I'm no longer like just Gautam. Like I'm Gautam who can actually bring things into existence and like bring people together in a way to like have healing spiritual experiences. Like holy shit. And I can actually handle people's monies. I can curate a amazing experience. And then people then recognize you at that, you know, like you're no longer just Gautam, like you're Gautam who actually crafted a whole weekend experience that these people just got to see. And then people start like expecting you to be that. People are like, yo, bro, when's the next retreat? Yo, bro, when's the next this? Like, yo, when are we doing that? That's crazy. And then it's like, oh
That'd
yeah,
be
bro,
sick.
this is Gautam. Like he literally led a whole fucking retreat like by himself. It was crazy. And then your brain just starts to fucking change as you think about who is
Yes.
Gautam.
That sounds dude, at this rate, life is gonna be fucking sick. I'm just like, fuck, dude. Like, I'm so glad. I don't. Okay, I know I'm gonna listen to this 10 years from now and be like, what I'm gonna say right now is hella stupid. But I'm glad I got aware a little earlier of like very basic stuff because I'm like, dude, even if I can live till 75 healthily, 50 more years of creation, like, holy fuck. Dude, that is 50 years of dope stuff. Like, if every month there's like one thing that I'm able to create and bring to this world that's like pretty cool, like 50 times 12, what is that? 600? That's 600 freaking things. Like, that's sick. Like, uh, I'm pretty, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm realizing that that's something I've been sharing that on whatever, all the things that, but change has been something that's been so on the top of my mind because I'm seeing it everywhere, dude. Like,
Mm,
coming back to Fremont,
mm.
I've just seen how much Fremont has changed in the span of 25 years. Going back to my elementary school, seeing kids I used to raise who were 1 years old now being 16, 15, like being with, all these family friends who I've seen grow up now working at Google and having boyfriends and getting married and whatever. It's just, there's so much change that happened. And if you're intentional about how you change, man, life can be very beautiful. Like, you just have to be intentional about the way in which you want it to change
Mm.
in the direction it goes. And I think you can kind of, you can create some pretty cool stuff throughout the span of your life. But again, it's all about being intentional and having that energy keep flowing. And that's what Satya, I just think, is such a great guy for this because he focuses so much on just like his energy, whatever. I mean, I know that's been kind of whitewashed and people are like, oh my God, whatever. I would like to use energy in not that sense. Um, but I mean, I just really think, I mean, even as you were talking about, I don't want to get also into your kind of like not masturbating, but I feel like when I don't masturbate, for example, is when I feel by far the most energy to create. Some of my best game, Two Birds was started because I was in a span of not masturbating for a long period of time. Like, I literally wasn't masturbating for a long period of time. And I was like, I need to channel this energy somewhere. I called you. I was like, we need to start a podcast. And that's how Two Birds started. Some of my best creations have been during spans of times where I wasn't masturbating for a long time. And I was like, I need to channel this energy somewhere. And like, that's
Damn,
always been how my life has been. Like, most re-educated,
dude,
everything during a span of when I wasn't masturbating. And like,
that's fucking crazy.
so yeah, so tell us about you.
That's
So
actually crazy.
all of February you didn't masturbate, which is one pretty crazy. It's a long period of time.
Wow. Well, I wanted to say something before then, but well, I mean, just to even, I guess, just figure that right now, dude. You know how I've been trying to do that movies of TikTok thing for how fucking long? Is it
Yes,
coincidental that the time it was created was when I wasn't masturbating?
100%. Yes, that makes it's not coincidental at all. It makes sense.
That's insane. Like I
And you
honestly
got
like
an
didn't really
amazing
connect the
piece
two.
out, and you wrote an amazing piece. I like was
Oh
in the middle of
shit,
reply things.
balls, you're right.
I only gave it like I have to finish it. I was in the middle, but it was just you wrote and you finished the TikTok, and like yes, that's a lot of
I
creation.
fucking did, bro. Oh God, no, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy, bro. What the fuck? Shit, you're totally fucking right, bro. You're so right. Like I, damn, that's so interesting, bro. Damn, honestly, like I have not been thinking about like continuing not masturbating, like using that, but like honestly, like maybe it's the move to like masturbate like once every 2 weeks
I think the
or
move,
like 3 weeks. Like I don't know.
maybe what the move is, it's like let the energy build up. So okay, so there's a lot. I don't know. There,
Let it build up. Yes,
if you
absolutely.
just read, I think Hindu scriptures talk a lot about this form of stuff. Like I've read a bit, but there's a whole like there's something called brahmachari. It's just a person who just like doesn't ever like orgasm, and like they like speak a whole
Mm,
bunch of ways on like how to channel all that energy into different
mm,
activities. And the thing is like, and Satya always says this too. It's like based on the way you're living your life, there's like a cap on it, which I feel like is what you hit, where it's like if you're not, you have to keep expanding your ability to like. I don't know. I'm also going to sound wonky, but this is just the like the, some my understanding of the text, and but it's like you have to keep expanding your potential of energy so that like you don't ever hit your cap. So if you lead your life in a certain type of way, and for them that's like eating meat, all of these things, they're like you are putting a cap on your ability to like store more and more energy, so that you have to then start kind of you can't you can't keep elevating and be able to store more and more, and you'll start getting frustrated and agitated, and all of those feelings will start coming. But that's more of an indication that like how much energy you have is not enough for how kind of what you were saying earlier, how wise you are, maybe like something like that, where it's like you may be able to have picked up all these things from drugs, but you may not have built the vessel to actually contain that much. And so I think like that's kind of their idea of like all these types of yoga, but like really, getting into like the like being trained by a guru and really figuring out and like whatever singing or there's a whole list of things that I feel like people on that life path do to like channel that energy the whole day without, but which I know I can't. I mean, I know for me, my capacity is like 4 days, and I'm like, I can't. But like,
mm.
if and you seem to have a much larger capacity in that you were able to go, weeks before you felt you got to that point where you're like, I can't anymore. I'm frustrated. Like so. Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, that's a great point. It's like, yeah, it's about like hitting, like getting to that wall. Cause like, in my experience, like I was mentioning earlier, I also did have diminishing returns where like my mind started to become like really altered, not in a good way, but like, is there a sweet spot where you can like reap the benefits and potentially like, minimize the harm? And maybe, like you said, everybody has that different sweet spot. Cause I think what the move is truly, and this is like kind of how I've been living my life before is like it's when you feel that urge you do it, right? Like that day, whatever, like you do it. And because I feel that urge significantly less than other people, I'm like, oh, I just don't do it that often. It's like I never thought anything about it, but like you're right, everything is relative to your capacity. That's something I didn't take into account. I was always like, oh, like other men have to do this literally every day or every other day. I do it, maybe once a week. So because that, like I don't do it that much, therefore like I in myself am like, sort of doing this in a disciplined manner. But like, no, the truth is I don't feel that urge until around a week. And then I do it. So it's like, yeah, maybe the true power is to not even do that when you feel that. And that's when the frustration, the energy really, really starts to get built up. And there's so much interesting research about like how like your testosterone, can I don't this doesn't sound right times 400, but it can increase like something insane if you like just literally go a week without doing it, right? And like it doesn't and then it can like, fluctuate based upon how much you do and don't do that. So that energy, you're so right, bro. Like I remember when I wrote that piece, I was sitting there and it's hard to say. It's not even clear that it was sexual energy. It's not even clear what kind of energy it was, but it was this fucking uh, this swirling within me, and I felt it. Like I was literally sitting down, I was trying to watch a fucking movie, and I felt this swirling within me, and it finally got to the point where I couldn't ignore it. And that's what was different before, is like I could ignore it. And maybe that's what happens like when you distract yourself and you kind of allow yourself to do everything that you need to do to feel pleasure and satiation. Um, and I didn't have any outs, I can't drink. I can't, I couldn't masturbate. I don't have I wasn't on social media. Like I didn't have any outs. I was like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm drowning. Like, holy shit. And I was like, motherfucker,
Mm,
right. Like, what do you mean you don't have any outs? Like, write about it. And dude, it felt like the craziest cloud had lifted over my head when I stopped writing. Like I wrote that whole thing in, I don't know, like 45 minutes. And like I fucking just literally like put it down. I made the medium, I posted it, and I was like, I'm not gonna look at it anymore. And for the next 3 or 4 days, I felt so light. My mind was so clear. The energy was like tamed and controlled. And I was like, damn, like there is, whether it sounds woo or not, there is something so real to us having energy and it needing to be channeled, or else it can crush us. And if you give yourself every distraction and you give yourself every tool that you need to, because that's what all of this shit is, bro. That's why creation is so trash right now. That's why, so many creatives aren't at the level that they were before. It's like we're so distracted. And like if you give yourself every distraction, you
mm,
give yourself every out, you don't ever have to feel the uncomfortability of your body saying you need to create. You need to let me out. Like I need to be let out. This world, this truth, this voice needs to be let out. So yeah, I mean, you're so right, bro. In that moment, I really did feel that pretty strongly. And I wanted to speak on something that you were mentioning about the meditation retreat, because I've been having this thought for a while now about change. When you were talking about change, I've been having this thought for a while now, and I heard a quote last night. Me and my fucking quotes. I'm gonna be like a quote book, dude. By the time I'm 60, oh my god, if I'm not already a quote book already. Um, but why do I like quotes so much? Honestly, I don't know. They're just really, really powerful wisdom and like condensed,
yeah.
Like they're just the Stoics used to like before Stoics ever wrote anything down, they believed that the way which you use wisdom was you had to have like they would memorize like hundreds and hundreds of aphorisms, like just tiny little like know thyself, like whatever, like all these little things that you see. That was created because Stoics didn't write anything down. They just memorized it. And they believed that your philosophy uh was like a weapon and you had to keep it shielded for when distress, depression, anxiety came. And that's when you used it. That's when
Mm,
you repeated the aphorisms to yourself. That's when you kept your mind really powerful, and you use these things to do it. And honestly, I feel like I use these quotes as a means to like keep my mind sharp. I don't know. But anyways, so as I've been in Lawrence, I have been really meditating on change, like you have, not surprisingly. Um, and I've been thinking a lot about I've been thinking a lot about how much every single thing is changing around me so rapidly. And now I like how cemented the change is. I'm, nearing 30. I'm nearing probably the end of my freedom from not having kids and not being married. Who knows? Uh, but that's at least where the path is going. I now live in Kansas. My friends are getting married or, doing this or doing that. Um, working these jobs, working those jobs. I've lost a lot of friendships and, gained different ones. Um, Things are really different, man, from how they were 5 years ago. Really, really different. And in a lot of ways, they're sadder. Um, in a lot of ways, it has a lot more sadness when I try to think about my life, and a lot more pain and a lot more stuckness. And I look back at the last 5 years, and I feel like I can't catch it. I just like can't stop this movement, this flow. I just like can't. It just feels like I'm sitting in this passenger seat of time, and I have no ability to get out to stop it. To really look around and like really pause and look at my life. It just feels like it's moving so rapidly, and it feels like at this rate I'm gonna be 70 and I'm gonna blink and be like, where am like what happened. And it's like I read this poem where the thing essentially was talking about, you know, 10, you're 27 now. 10 years ago you were 17, but realistically when you look at that 10 years, it only feels like a blink. And it was like, be careful for the next blink because that's 37. And I'm like, fuck, like the next blink is coming and I just feel like I can't do anything to stop it. And that's been causing me a lot of like mental anguish because months are starting to feel like days and I don't know why. And it feels like I'm becoming less and less present every single day. And it's really strange. And I just I don't want to miss the ride. And so I've been really freaking out about that. But I heard this quote last night while I was watching Dune, and it was so fire. And I think what you're saying earlier literally is like I've been trying to figure out this problem since I heard it. I'll tell you the quote. It says, and it's actually a riff on a quote that I've heard another time. But anyways, it says the mystery of life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. It is not a process that can be understood by stopping it. It's a process that we must move with. It's a process that we must flow with. And the first part, I've heard that before. I've pondered upon all that. That's crazy as fuck, for sure. But the second part, that was the part that fucked me up. Life is not a process that can be understood by stopping it.
Stopping it. That's so fire.
I was like, oh fucking shit. Damn. Like, whoa. I've been trying to stop it. I've been trying to hold on to it and be like, wait. Like, let me just hold this moment for a little bit fucking longer, please. But that's not what you're supposed to do. It's a process that can only be understood by flowing with it. And the more we choose to flow with time, the more we get to experience the ride. And I was just like, damn, bro, that's actually where my pain has been coming from, is from my inability to just be like, I'm going to flow with it. I've been trying to stop it and like hold it, but I can't. And I think what you were saying earlier really ties into that idea of like flowing with it, which is like leaning into like your gifts and your strengths. And like, it's like continuing to evolve life to make it more, to make it great, instead of just trying to preserve what the past was consistently.
Can you just keep
It's like
talking? I
leaning
feel like
into the
sometimes
change.
I definitely get lost in a trance sometimes when you talk. Because like the way I listen to you, this is the way I listen when you talk. Because I feel like you spit just, how we were talking about earlier, like having somebody else's like voice just on in the back as I'm like doing my own thinking. I feel like
Yeah.
when you're talking, it's like the soil on which like myself have so many thoughts as you speak. So I'm like, you're speaking and it's just like watering the plants. And I'm just like, oh man, that's a great idea. And that's a great idea. So I never have something to respond to you, but I'm just like, what you have to say is, it's just, I wish there was a way to communicate that I really listened and appreciated without having to have something to say. I wish there was another way to communicate that what you said was so fire and heard, but I don't have anything to say. And I don't want to use words to say
I
that.
think from my experiences, that's the best way to communicate that actually.
Yeah.
I think the
I
times
don't
in my
have
life where I
anything.
listen the most, I don't have anything to say. Like truly. So
I'm
yeah,
just like,
that's loud and heard. I
damn.
appreciate that. Wow.
I'm just trying to like, I always feel like I'm so close to letting go of everything and just being alive, I'm so
Right.
close, dude. Like, even as I've been teaching, like, it's becoming more and more of a reality where, like, literally it's just going to be me mentoring kids, like, as a full-time job. Like, that's a very near likely future where I can just be in the world and just teach kids. And when one kid graduates and goes on to the next phase of their life, another kid comes and my life is just with these really meaningful relationships with students and that's it. Like that's my full life. And I outside of that I can do so much and help out and I just have this steady source of income that's coming from just having really meaningful one-on-one relationships with so many people and it's a close reality. It's not that far away.
Mm.
Like the life that I want as it gets closer, I'm like, holy fuck, this is gonna be crazy. My life is not gonna look like everyone else's. If I can make this happen, my life is not gonna look like I live in one city, I commute to work every day. It's not gonna look like that at all.
Isn't that terrifying? And like the
It's
most exciting thing ever?
it's both, yes. It's so exciting and so terrifying. because somebody
It
else had
feels
said that.
uh
I was just gonna say someone else had said this. One of the uh, guys in the book club, he asked me something. It was like, I just want to tell you something because I know no one's probably told you this before. He was like, I want to ask you about your India trip, but I also understand that you probably have felt very unheard in the fact that you probably have never and will never be able to really articulate and express what that experience was like and meant for you. Because for most people in those 7 months, what they had done was go to work, come back, party on the weekend, go to work, come back, party on the weekend. Like it is very
mm,
difficult for someone to fully place themselves in your shoes of working with tribal community. I mean, just the vast expanse of experiences that I had in those 7 months, it's hard for somebody to really put themselves into your shoes and like understand. And like,
impossible, bro. All the little micro experiences you had, dude, from being alone at night to walking through, forests in the middle of the night, terrified whether or not you weren't gonna make it. Like, there's no way.
I remember I had this moment with Arden once because she used to always talk about like working in Somalia, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then one time I was looking through her Polaroids and I saw a picture of her at a Somalian wedding with the tribe that she was working with. And like, that's when I was like, holy shit, everything that you have told me have just been words. This is the first time for even a brief second am I able to be like, holy fuck, you have seen a part of the world and experienced something that I cannot even imagine. And that's when it hit
Mm,
me. I was like, wow, I have not actually listened to what Arden has said because I literally cannot. I cannot imagine the things that she has seen and been through from all the places she's worked with, the people she's met. It's just, and then when Benito, my friend, had told me that, I felt so hurt because I was just like, damn, that is actually why I have felt recently a sense of, for a while after I got back, I felt a sense of, what's the word, resentment towards some people in my life because I was just like,
mm,
everyone nobody really seems to like fully capture, like they want to talk to me as if we both did the similar things in the last 7 months.
right, right.
And it's like uh and I think when you compare it on your lenses, then it can be like, all right, like what must he have done? I mean, he didn't save up a bunch of money. He didn't really, he didn't meet, whatever. Like if you have a certain lens in which you view whether life was good or not, or whether time was well spent or not, then the way you would even like listen or ask questions would be so different. But I don't know. It's just to say when he said that, it made me really realize like um sometimes life can just be so unique for you. And I know that for you as well, man. I feel like this is the first time I experienced life like what it was like without a mom. I felt like for the first these last 2 months, in my head at least, I forgot that I had a mom. And now that my mom's
Mm,
back, I'm like, what the fuck? Having a mom is the dopest shit ever. I feel so much more happy being at home. Bro, it's been night and day to have like that, like empathizing, loving, just that feeling. My mom giving me a hug and, small stuff that I'm just like, fuck, dude, it's been 3 months where I haven't even gotten a hug. Like, it's been nice. And I'm like, but that's been your experience for so long of, you know, experiencing the other side where and it's hard to ever really. I don't even know why we brought this up, but it was something to do with experience, something to do with experiences. I forgot what we were talking about, but just to say that I feel like I haven't really been able to understand your experience either because all that you have told me is just word. I have
yeah.
not fully, I cannot fully understand what your experience is like, you know
Wow.
and
I
it's
mean,
like you can
damn,
only try.
appreciate that, bro. I mean, vice versa, honestly, truly. But I feel like, yeah, hearing the mom thing, honestly, it's really funny you bring that up because I was just literally the other day, or maybe like last week or something like that. I think it was the apex of my loneliness pain. Maybe it was when I wrote that, but I just sort of was like thinking about all the people who are here, even doing this thing in Kansas. And anybody can play like I have it worse. And I I hate when I play that game with myself because all it does is really make life miserable. But sometimes I do play that. And I'm like, man, I don't think anybody else is doing this and like is alone in Kansas and like doesn't even have a mom and dad to like support them financially, emotionally. Like And it's like, I have a mom, of course, but you know, all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have been texting from time to time, which has actually been cool. And I can't knock her there, but yeah, the support that a typical mom provides not there, and zero the support that a dad provides. And so, um, yeah, I was just thinking about like, man, like when I say I'm alone, like it's another level that I don't even think people can like grasp. Like, uh,
Mm,
like,
mm,
like all I had was my friend, and like I don't have that now either. I mean, I still do. I still get to talk to them, which honestly could be way worse. But I don't have like a close connection, with them in the way I did before. I think what's so hard for me is that because I don't have like really family outside of my sister and my stepmom. It's like close family, I guess. Like it's like I rely on my friends for a lot. Like I rely on my friends for a lot. And I think what's so painful is that as you get older, your friendships start to wither. And that's where a lot of people find the value of family, because that tends to stay the same. But it's like
mm,
I feel the pain of my friendships withering, I think, a lot more than other people, because the cost for me is so much greater. Because those are my
mm,
support systems, like really. So yeah, I
mm,
appreciate you saying that. But I was gonna say that I think something that you do so well, and something that your friend did in that moment, that just like other people can't really grasp the value of, dude, and don't do that well, is like there is one of the most beautiful things you can do for another human is like try your best to make them feel seen. And like that requires you like something you do very, very well. Like, when you just mentioned my mom right now, I was like, what the fuck? Like, damn, what made you think of that? Like one of the greatest love languages, and I honestly like want to add this to the love language repertoire, is like for me, and it's something you do very well, and a lot of people don't do, is like you go there, you sit there, and you actually take time to be like, oh, okay, let me like really think about Mylan's experiences and what this must be like for him. And there is nothing on this planet you can do to make someone feel less alone than to do that. Like
mm,
being with another person doesn't necessarily make them feel like they're not alone. There is this aspect of like, dude, I took like, 10 minutes or whatever to like for a second ponder and like maybe get a little taste of like what it must be like to live in like your head. And like, damn, that's fucking crazy. Um, and somebody who's willing to do that, because like you know, there's like three types of people when I think of it. There's like the person who just doesn't even care to do it. There's the person who like you tell a crazy thing and they're like, oh damn, yeah, that's fucking crazy. I can't imagine. And then they move on. And then there's the third person who's like, wow, that's fucking crazy. And let me try to imagine what that's actually like, because wow. And not many people are that third one where they're like, hey, let me actually take some time. And you'll do that randomly. Like you'll literally call me and be like, yeah, bro, I was just thinking about like what it must be like to like, fucking have gone through that thing that you went through at 11, and like, yeah, that's insane. And I'm like, oh shit, like why were you thinking about that? Like, holy fuck, dude. Like, oh my God. Like, and it's like I feel like I want to say thank you in a way that like I can't even like put words to. And like that's why for me, like, you're my soulmate in a lot of ways. And like, I'll always stand by that. Like, and because like there's not really any other humans I can think about that have like really on a spiritual level tried to understand me. And
mm.
that shit just means a lot. Like, you have people who like are here with you in the world, and that's dope. You need that shit too. You need it to help survive the world, obviously. But there are people, the few people you meet in your life who are with you like in the metaphysical world, who are with you like in the spiritual sense.
Oh yeah.
And that means that touches me in a way that like I can't really grasp. And like um depending upon what you identify more with as a person, like I try my best to be in the world as little as possible. So people I connect with in the world, on a world basis, we do things together, we talk about sports and this and that. It's cool, but I don't identify with that self very strongly. But
Mm,
this spiritual self that transcends just the human world, that delves with meaning and purpose and like these greater, more expansive concepts, that's the self I identify with. So anyways, I think that's what a soulmate is. And yeah, man, I'm
damn.
grateful to have that. And on top of that, I think this is the perfect time to reveal that I'm going to send you something right now that I think is actually pretty crazy.
You're gonna text me?
Yeah, it's a text. Let me know when you see it. It's a picture. It's sending right now. Um, fuck, not delivered. Why? That's strange. Um, well, I guess I'll just tell you what it is. Maybe I'll email, or maybe I'll just email it to you guys. That's maybe better.
I'll also
Um,
send you
is it the Goutham Yeg at Gmail or the Georgetown?
the Georgetown one.
Oh, okay. Uh,
I love Georgetown. I'll always be like forever indebted anything that happens in my career to them for sure.
oh,
They definitely helped me out a lot.
Georgetown plug. Legacy. All right. Let me know when you get this email then.
I sent you a picture of all the art that we made and the puzzle on the left. There it is. Legacy contact. Let's see what this is. No way, dude. What is this? Let me read this. What is this? Be able
Yeah,
to
man.
access the Oh my God.
For our listener, our single listener, I just sent Gautam a legacy contact key, which essentially you have the option where you can make people um, able to access all of your files on your iPhone and all your stuff on your iCloud once you die. And yeah, I just literally did this last night, and I just was thinking about all the things I have written in my phone and all the videos I've made that I haven't posted on YouTube and everything, and all the stuff I have here. And I was just like, man, like I really can die at any moment, and like I don't know anybody who would know what to do with all this better than you. Like, and
Oh,
I'll make Bree eventually one day too, and like I obviously love Bree to a crazy T, and she's been there with me in some insane sense, but like there's a sense of like I don't know. I think when I think about this stuff, I mostly think about all the stuff I've written, like all of my journals that I've written and all the little like video journals I've made. And I feel like you would know what to do with them to like honor my memory better than anybody else.
damn.
Like I feel like you would take like because I was just thinking I was like watching some of your video journal content. I was watching mine and I was like, man, like I always assume I'm not gonna die, but like I really really can. And like it's going to be so insane when I die because like I know like my homies might just like put this on one day and be like, damn, like I fucking miss Mylan. Like I just want to hear him talk. Like and like it'd be cool to just like hear me fucking yap my mouth for like 10 minutes about whatever it is that's going on. And I
Yeah.
was just like, damn, like I actually have so many like way more stuff I haven't posted or shared. And I was like, and like I don't know, like I feel like within all that, like maybe there's some wisdom that somebody can do something with one day. And I was just like, who would be able to know what to do best with this wisdom? Like, really? Like, I was like, it's Galvin. Like, I can't. That's like without a fucking question. Like, um. So yeah, man, I wanted you to have that in case I ever die, and always have access to fucking my shit in case So if I'm ever gone, you're not ever really alone. I'm always there with you in spirit and thought.
This is like the nicest. You do some your the re-educated podcast gift was one of the nicest birthday gifts I've ever gotten in my life. It was
Oh,
so thoughtful, so useful, and it made me feel like you believed in me. And I feel like every time I turn that on when I'm doing a recording, I just feel like Marlon's on my team, my side, and I feel
Oh,
like that was the best gift ever. And then I feel like you do these acts sometimes where I'm like, what the fuck? I don't even know how to like. I don't really. I'm not emotionally at the place where I'm capable of like comprehending what how large of an act something is. I think emotionally in a lot of ways I'm still very I don't have the capacity to feel yet at like the depth sometimes when people like when my mom does things, for example, that are like full of love. I'm like, I can't even comprehend that. She made me a salad to
no,
take with
I'm
me
with
to my mom made me a salad to take with me to work, like to I'm going to work at the coffee shop. I'm like, dude, that just takes so much love. Like, fuck, to then like
yeah,
call me and be like, did you make sure to bring it? Just hella love and care. And
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how to actually and like this is like the kindest what you like this is just a sense of look, I fully trust you with who I am and what it is that it's just such a huge act. I'm like, do I have I even developed the emotional capacity to like actually acknowledge and feel that,
Dude, and
That's
I
like,
think so many men don't develop that until they have their first kid.
yes.
Like really. And I've been thinking about that a lot because I feel like exact same way you're saying, bro. Like I'm sending this to you. Like obviously I'm like, fuck, like this should be a moment where both you and I are just like fucking crying. It's like I fucking love you, dog. Like
Yeah.
I trust you with like my whole fucking existence. Like, and it's
Uh,
just sort of like this, yeah, bro, sending you this. Damn, bro, that's crazy. Like, and that is where, as men, we like that's the fucking range we have with our like emotional depth and like vulnerability. And like we could judge ourselves for it, but I always think about men who are older and they're always so much more emotional. And like they can like cry on cue and they really feel shit. And like just heard so many men be like, dude, I didn't learn how to love until I had a kid. Like dead ass. I
mm,
actually learned what that shit was, and it transferred to everyone around me. And I'm like, damn, honestly, like I feel like I need that as well.
mm. But
But
this
that's
is
what I want to
this,
do while we record it. We have this forever, bro. We
yeah.
get to listen to this shit in fucking 10 years and be like, damn, remember when Mother made me his fucking legacy? I might actually be dead. I don't know. You might actually be like, bro, like that's crazy. Like I would like to think it's never gonna happen, but I'm just trying to be very
Yeah.
practical about the fact like I'm not immortal and like I'm not gonna be immortal. It's just not happening.
This honestly makes me really happy because I just remembered you took all your video journals down.
Oh no, I put them back up too, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, yeah, they're back up now.
Okay. 'Cause, I mean, I was gonna say regardless. I mean, especially if they're down, there'll be no almost zero content of your voice up.
I know. So crazy. Like it's just be crazy. I literally was just really think I was like, damn, bro, what if I was dead and fucking Goutham or Bree or whoever was just like, I'm just gonna play this and just listen to this whole talk. Like, it was just so. I was like, that's so weird. Like, it must be so crazy. And I'm just like,
That's what I'm
it's totally
saying, dude.
possible.
The video journal is the move. Like, I will not die. Like, so long as
Yes.
YouTube itself doesn't crash, which is, like YouTube at some point might, cease to exist. But till that date, there's so much, dude. There are at least 300 hours of me talking about some bullshit somewhere on the internet. Like, there's more than 300 hours. There's at least 500 hours of my content on the internet. Like,
Dude, and that's more than enough to turn you into an AI.
yeah, that's more
That's
than enough to
more
turn
than
me.
enough.
Like at some point you'll be able to you have so much data on you, but I just
Like,
think like
that crazy to ask a question, chat GPT, and then just have your voice respond, using all that content.
damn, that would fuck people up, bro.
They already have that, dude. I saw some guy do that with his dead dad. I was like, fuck.
That would fuck me up.
You know?
Yeah, no, that's fucked. That's
So that
too
shit's
much.
crazy, bro. That shit's crazy, man. Yeah, I'm really glad to share that with you. And honestly, like, obviously, like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, first legacy contact should be like when I say that Bree is like my partner in the world, like, till my fucking last breath for sure. But it's just when I thought about all that stuff, like, it just, I don't know. When I think about, yeah, it was just you that came in my first thought in my head. And I'm just like, it's just crazy because I feel like there's like this pressure of like, oh, like, because like your partner is supposed to be your romantic partner is supposed to be everything, and I'm just like, dude, if you have some really 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 good friends, I think it only stands to reason that like each relationship will hold something so powerful that your romantic partner doesn't
Mm,
have, and that's not a hit on your romantic relationship. That's actually just a reflection of how beautiful your friendships are.
well
And I
said.
think that like I have actually really done damage to my relationship by trying to have Bree be my my fucking spiritual partner, my fucking physical partner, my emotional partner, my this partner, my let's fucking you gotta play sports with me. You gotta fucking have intellectual debates with me. You gotta be like funny. You gotta be hot. You gotta be sweet. You gotta be caring. You gotta cook. Like, dude, no, it's just fucking crazy. It's actually crazy to ask all that of another individual. Like, it's actually insane. And like, I think that expectation is really fucking toxic. And like, I think the best thing I can do for Brie is to accept her as she is, truly. And that's not to say I don't
Mm,
expect more out of her, but like I expect more of like who she is. And like, it's not Brie to like go and like, spiritually connect to like, some YouTube freaking things about me complaining my writings, even though she, I know she does appreciate it. But it's like I know you would do that. So I don't know why I'm feeling the need to justify myself here, but in case she ever listens to this shit too. You're like, damn, bro, he didn't make me in. It's like, wait.
we love you, Bree. But I was gonna say, something as you were talking about earlier that I feel like maybe one, I think maybe at some point we shouldn't like glance past the fact that we literally are thinking about the same thing almost all the time. Like I just don't know how that's possible, but like it's been so many times where we'll be thinking about really similar things, like themes of life, like at the same time, which is the only reason. Like, let's say you were thinking about how to raise a child, and I was thinking about how to, go on dates. Like, our conversations would just be so different. But somehow, no matter what we're going through, we end up thinking about similar large picture themes, which it just at some point I'm just like, how is this possible? And then secondly, I think something about both of us, me also having very little family, just out, I mean, just it's just my parents and then I mean, no uncles, cousins, whatever. Um, and always having that, my parents always kind of emphasizing that in my mind of like, look, you don't have family. Like, you're going to have to figure out a way to like build support systems and stuff in the US because you don't have family. And that was something I always like grew up thinking. I was like, so that's why for me, friends also is the support system. It's the equivalent of family where
Hmm.
it's not like my parents have always told me like we're gonna die one day. Like you don't have siblings, you don't, you're gonna have to figure
Damn,
out a way to support yourself as well on this
that's
planet.
fucking crazy.
And I think it's real. But I think that always made me also think about okay, like friends are everything. And I feel like in that sense, I can only get close with people who also have similar views like that.
Whoa, that's a good fucking point, dude. Holy shit.
Because the dope thing about you too is you're also not the type of person to like, I don't know, you haven't given up on me even though you're in a relationship, even though a lot of other friends have. And I have found that that's one similarity between a lot of immigrants. Like Murad, for example, his family didn't come to the US. So it's just his parents, his sister, and him. He doesn't have cousins or uncles either. And so I know in many ways for him too, like friends are family. And so it's just weird now, even as I reflect on, it, I'm like, a lot of my friends are people who are like that, you know?
Bro,
And I
I'm
mean,
gonna
a
say
lot of
something that could be like people will think is crazy, and I'm gonna fucking say it. Friendship is more important than family. Whoa, crazy, right?
I mean,
Let
yeah,
me
that
let me
is a hot.
explain that for a second. You can have family that you're not friends with.
Mhm.
Like, you know, like, and to me, like, I don't care about that. Like, I have people who are technically my family that I'm not friends with. Like, awesome. You can have a romantic partner that you're not friends with. Cool. Like, I don't want a romantic partner that I'm not friends with, you know? Like, I don't want to be married and not be friends with my partner. Like, I don't want a point in time where that my fucking social bond outpowers my friendship. Because
Mm.
what makes friendship so valuable is that it's always a choice. And it always requires you to like bring your best. Because because family in a way isn't a choice, people believe they can treat the other person however they want. And it's the same thing with marriages, and I think it's the same thing with a lot of other relationships where you begin to lose the value of like we're choosing to like continue this every single day. And if love really is a choice that you make every day, then I don't know what represents love better than friendships. And
Mm.
people think because friendships fall apart so easy, like that must mean like they're not, bounded by love. Like, I don't think that's true. Like, I think people are just really, really honest with themselves and they don't want to be like, or they just don't value it in the same way. But like, for me, like, I always want to be friends with Brie. I always like me and my sister, dude. Like, she's my sister, but like we're fucking friends. Like we are best fucking friends. And like that is why I love that relationship. Like just because she's my sister, like it's like cool, bro. Like awesome. Like we share 50% of our fucking chromosome. Like awesome. But like we are
Mm.
friends. Like and I love that. And you know, I just think that with every relationship in my future, even with my own kids, I'm like, dude, like of course, like I'm your fucking parent, but like God, I hope we are friends. Like really.
Mm.
So that's that provocative statement that I'll look back on and be like, who knows? But I'm gonna say, bro, friendship more important than family. I fucking said it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, learning what the difference between the two are for yourself, like, I think it's such an important thing, an important journey for each person to figure out for themselves. Like, what is the difference between a stranger, an acquaintance, a friend, a family, a lover? You know, what are the differences? And the lines are so blurry and they overlap so much. It's hard to really identify what is what is the, code of conduct with each. When does one transition into the next? Because yeah, I mean, I think what something you were saying earlier that's been making me think is like I feel like this relationship has set the bar so high for me for what I look for in a relate like a romantic relationship. Because yeah, I mean, we can keep going, but like maybe we should call it a pause. We call it a pause and two birds again in April.
Yeah, yeah. The two birds, um, the two birds love will be taken off screen.
I'm feeling like that one that Friday song with Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, and they keep going, and then Kendrick just says he's just done at the end where he stops rapping. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah. Is it when they do control?
No, it's Friday. Like I think the song is called Friday something.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
That song's hard. And then at the end, he's
No,
like,
this
he's
this
about to
is
start
probably our
it.
longest podcast too, huh?
It might be. Has it been like 2 hours? Probably.
I don't even fucking
I
know,
can't
but it's
tell
been
on
lit.
this, but it might have been 2 hours.
Hey, well, glad we hit record or glad we hit record.
Yeah. This was actually a dope conversation. Yeah, I'm actually very happy we were able to record this one.
I think this is the most two birds episode of two birds. This is peak two birds.
It was very vulnerable.
Vulnerability
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
intellectual curiosity, bro. Like
Combined.
that's it,
Yeah.
bro. That is what two birds is. That's what the birds represent.
Yeah. It wasn't as intellectual as the other. And then I felt like it was a lot more vulnerable. But yeah, yeah. I love you, man.
Love
Thanks
you
for
too,
even
brother.
like doing this podcast with me. It's cool. Like, I mean, it's been like almost 3 years now. So that's cool.
Oh, that's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, honestly, like one of the I think greatest gifts that you've really passed on to me is that idea of like is that idea of like recording yourself, you know? Like, I don't know. Like before meeting you, like, yeah, I would have never done any kind of video journals and I would have never like posted things on Medium and like, done podcasts and shit. Like I was just a very like, oh, like to myself. And I feel like you're kind of the first person that was like, dude, what you have to say is valuable, like share it with other people. But I like had never ever thought about that before. Like I was always just like, no, I'm just gonna keep this to myself. Like partly because it's not valuable and other partly because like, yeah, I just don't want to be judged. So like I don't know. Honestly, like I feel like that shit is like probably some of the dopest stuff I've done. And like I didn't even have that idea of like what I have to say is valuable until, being your friend. So yeah, bro. To continue the circle jerk, I feel that through and through.
I love you.
Love you too, brother.
All right. How do I hit the stop record button on this now? That's the next question. There it is. I see it. Record. Stop recording.